Hello there, my name is Leah, and I'm about to tell you a story that's got a little bit of everything: surprise, confusion, and a whole lot of camels. But let's start at the beginning, in the bustling household of my father Laban in the land of Heron. Life in Heron was mostly about keeping up with my little sister, Rachel, who could charm anyone without even trying. There I was, the older sister, always in the background, arranging the tents or feeding the goats, which, let me tell you, have more personality than some people I know. One day this stranger named Jacob showed up. He came all the way from Canaan, and boy did he make a first impression. He marched right up to the well where all of us shepherds gathered, saw the huge stone that covered it, and decided to show off a bit by moving it himself. Everyone around was pretty impressed, including Rachel, who caught his eye immediately. Now here's where things got interesting. Jacob was here to find a wife, but he had his heart set on Rachel right from the start. Watching them together made me think I'd be an old maid forever. But my father Laban, he's a bit of a trickster and had other plans. He told Jacob he could marry Rachel if he worked for him for 7 years. Jacob agreed without a second thought, thinking he was working for Rachel. Fast forward 7 years, Jacob's done his part, and the wedding preparations are in full swing. Only my dad pulls me aside the night before and says, "Leah, you're going to be the bride tomorrow." I nearly dropped the goat milk I was carrying. "What about Rachel?" I asked. Dad just shrugged and said it wasn't proper for the younger sister to marry first. The next day, there I was, veiled and sitting next to Jacob under the wedding canopy, my heart pounding like I was about to wrestle a lion. When Jacob lifted the veil, the look on his face was something I'll never forget. Confusion, surprise, and a little bit of dismay all at once. I wanted to laugh and cry at the same time. The wedding night was awkward, to say the least. Jacob was gentlemanly but obviously stunned. We ended up talking about the weather and sheep, which, considering our situation, was probably as good as the conversation was going to get. After the wedding shock wore off, Jacob and I began our life together. Those first few weeks, let's just say they were filled with more silence than a deserted pasture. But, as with all things, time has a way of smoothing out even the rockiest starts. Jacob, being the determined man he is, threw himself into his work, managing flocks and fields with an intensity that only Jacob could muster. Living with Jacob wasn't easy, especially with him still pining for Rachel. But as days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, we found our rhythm. We'd share meals, me trying to cook something edible, and Jacob pretending to enjoy whatever culinary disaster I'd managed that evening. We shared laughs too, usually at my cooking experiments, or when I tried to help with the sheep and ended up chasing them in the wrong direction. Then came the children. Oh, the children. Reuben was first, his arrival bringing a new bond between Jacob and me. With each son that followed, Simeon, Levi, and Judah, our family grew, and slowly the awkwardness faded into a comfortable companionship. We were partners in parenting and in life, and I found joy in the little moments we shared. Jacob was a good man, and over time I saw him grow from the love-struck youth who'd first arrived in Heron into a leader and father. His dedication to our family was unwavering, even if his heart held a special place for Rachel. Seeing him with our sons, teaching them how to care for the land and animals, brought a kind of peace to my heart. As the years passed, our household became a bustling hub of activity. Between managing our growing brood and navigating family dynamics with Rachel and her children, life was never dull. Jacob and I learned to lean on each other, finding strength in our shared challenges. We discovered that love doesn't always start with a whirlwind romance. It can grow quietly, deeply amid the daily grind of life. Life in Heron became quite the lively scene as our family expanded. Jacob and I, along with my sister Rachel, her children, and our burgeoning brood, created a patchwork family that was sometimes chaotic but always full of love. As the years passed, our tents seemed to stretch at the seams with the laughter, bickering, and endless activity of our children. Amidst the daily hustle, Jacob and I grew into a solid team. Our early awkwardness gave way to a deep respect and an unexpected friendship. We shared the responsibilities of our large family, from settling squabbles between the kids to managing the harvests. There were tough times, of course. Droughts tested our resolve, and disputes with local tribes tested our courage. But facing them together strengthened our bond. The real test came when Jacob decided it was time to return to his homeland. This decision wasn't made lightly, especially considering his strained relationship with his brother Esau, whom he had deceived many years before. The prospect of facing his past, coupled with the challenge of moving such a large family, was daunting. I watched as Jacob wrestled with his fears, both literal and metaphorical. One night, he even wrestled with an angel, a moment that changed him profoundly, leaving him with a limp but also a new name, Israel, symbolizing his struggles with God and men. His transformation was remarkable, and it taught us all about resilience and faith. Our journey back to Canaan was as eventful as you might imagine, with herds, children, and all our belongings in tow. The reunion with Esau was tense, but ultimately peaceful, a relief that spread through our family like the first rains after a dry spell. In Canaan, our life took on a quieter rhythm, but the lessons of those earlier, tumultuous years stayed with us. Jacob and I, once an unlikely pair, found a love built on shared experiences and mutual respect. It wasn't the fiery romance of songs and stories, but it was real and enduring. As I look back on our journey from that first bewildering wedding to the peaceful days in Canaan, I am filled with gratitude for the unexpected path my life took. It taught me that love isn't always found in the grand gestures, but often in the quiet moments of companionship and shared struggle. Thank you for sharing this journey with me. Remember, life's paths might twist and turn, but they always lead us exactly where we need to be. Keep your heart open, embrace the unexpected, and cherish the journey. If you've enjoyed hearing about my life with Jacob and our adventures, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and share this story. There are many more tales to explore on this channel, each filled with lessons and laughter. Stay tuned, and let's continue to discover the wonders of our past together.